Hi, I'm Ash.
I'm Charlie.
We're one half of Be Good. It's the 5th of November. It's 20 past 10 and we're in Oxford speaking to the Encore.
I've been listening to a lot of Arlo Parks recently. She's doing really, really well. Basically, she's just announced she's going to release an album. Like everything she's put out over the past sort of 6 months has been really, really good.
Yeah, she's amazing. I've been listening to a lot of Dijon's new EP. His voice is amazing, and he combines this kind of Americana country guitar stuff with a real R&B vibe. I've been watching a lot of Ozark. I think I'm quite late to the game, but the soundtrack in that is pretty good. It's a lot of tension building stuff.
Mostly for the theme tune, I really like BoJack Horseman. I think the music in BoJack Horseman's really good. Have you seen that?
No.
It's really cool. I mean, the theme tune's amazing, but the actual music in it's really good as well. Yeah, I wish I'd written that. I wish I'd written that theme tune as a piece of TV music. It's so good. A lot of magazine. There's not a lot of print magazines left in the UK. A lot of them have gone out of business, especially over COVID. I read one called So Young. I actually have a print subscription to it, and it's the journalism's really good. They do really good analysis, and the interviews are really interesting. It's mostly focused on kind of indie bands. In terms of online stuff, I mean, I read Pitchfork and The Line of Best Fit. I don't know. You don't really read? Do you read magazines or anything?
Not really, but I'll read. I think it's a London magazine called Crack Magazine. Our local pub has it for free, so I'll read that. I really like the way Rostam from Vampire Weekend produces. He did one of my favourite albums from, I think, last year, Clairo's album. And then I also really liked his work on Haim's new album. Obviously, Clairo and Haim's songwriting is amazing as well. So, but Rostam, I like him.
Yeah. There's a beat maker from London called Maxwell Owen, who I really, really like. I've been listening to a lot of his stuff at the moment. I really like a producer called Courage as well, who worked on the Tour album, and he does loads of his own stuff. He does loads of really interesting remixes. He's got a pretty unique style. They both do, yeah. So those two kind of London-based producers I really like.
I have worked with a few quite good, amazing mixing engineers, Gethin Pearson, and we're working with Lee Smith. But David Wrench is a bit of a icon in terms of mixing, and he seems like a really nice guy as well. I listened to a podcast with him and Marika Hackman. I like that he's technical, but he also, everything is about the song and the message, and that's always primary, and I think that's really a good thing for making the best music.
He's got lovely hair as well.
He's got amazing hair.
It's so
flowing
good.
locks.
Yeah. I really like Sharif Hashizuma, who's he's a mix engineer who he does a lot of work with John Hopkins. And he's just he's super, I guess, a bit like David Wrench. He's really, really technical, but very details oriented. And also I imagine that working with John Hopkins is really difficult because you must get all of the sounds you get are so messed with by the time they come through to you. So I think that the stuff he does there is really, really amazing.
One of the last songs that really hit me was Sweeter by Leon Bridges. His voice is just insane, and I think the song came out around the time of the Black Lives Matter protests, and it felt really powerful in a really tender way. That's a really great song. If you haven't heard it, definitely check that out.
Yeah. My favourite song at the minute is actually from a band from Manchester called Reeve. It's called Get to Know You, and I just found it on Discover Weekly or something like that. I don't know if they're still relatively under the radar, but when I heard it, I was I kind of hadn't heard anything like it for a while. They use this really interesting sort of 90s production style, and the singer's got a really interesting voice, and it's very sort of sad but also kind of euphoric at the same time. They're really great, and I think they're pretty new to the scene, so yeah, I was really glad to discover them.
Have you sent that to me?
Yeah, I think so.
You have?
I think. Yeah, it's that one. It sounds like a 90s club track at the start. It's got that really weird choice of drum sounds.
That one sounds so good. I need to dig that one back out.
But also that Dijon song that you showed me. What's that song called?
Oh yeah, that's called Nico's Red Truck.
Yeah, that's amazing. I listen to that so much. That's a great song as well. Yeah.
We're just getting carried away.
yeah.
I remember I used to just hum this song to myself, like walking around university all the time. It was Let It Die by Feist. It's quite an old song now, but the melody just has stuck with me throughout the years. I wish I wrote that one.
Mine is definitely Dancing on My Own by Robin. Because I came to that party really late. I didn't hear that song until, I don't know, maybe it was, because it's quite an old song. It was maybe it came out in 2008 or something like that. But I only discovered it 3 years ago. Do you remember I used to just play it all the time?
Yeah,
I just
all
had
the
it,
time.
all the time I just had it on in my room. And I can't really, it still makes me feel exactly the same way as the way that I felt when I first heard it, which I think is it's a really interesting thing to get from a song. But yeah, that one, I wish I could perform that one and I'd written it, because it's amazing. It's still amazing.
Yeah, it's the definitive kind of sad banger.
Yeah, it's such a good sad banger. Yeah.
I'm really proud of one of our songs called It's Cool But It Ain't You. That's always been a real special song, at least for me and for us. I really feel like when we wrote that song, we came to kind of understand what we were trying to do as a band. And the song is also about trying to explore some of the nastier traits I kind of have in myself, or trying to suppress, and to be able to kind of look at those things with taking a critical eye to yourself, but writing it as a kind of almost R&B pop song. I was pretty proud of that one.
I think in terms of the stuff that we've put out, I'm really into Reflection of the Moon, because I think it's something that we'd never really done anything like that before, and there's a bunch of choices that we made in terms of how we put the song together, and the production style and the samples that we used that we'd never really experimented with that much. And it came out sort of I still don't think we have anything like that. It sort of exists as a standalone song in terms of how I think about it in our catalogue. But also the music, the track that we're about to release, the next one that we're going to do, is probably the one that I think I'm the most proud of. I'm the most excited to release.
Some people that come to mind, Charlie XCX.
Yes. That'd be so fun.
Our housemate introduced us to this French, I think she's French or Belgian singer called Angèle. She's really cool and seems really fun. Got a great voice.
She just did a song with Dua. That's her who just did the track with Dua, right?
Yeah, she has just done a collab with Dua Lipa, so...
Similar ballpark. We're a similar level of...
Yeah, we could do a kind of 3-way collab with Dua as well if she wants to get involved, but
haven't heard anything. But
yeah, maybe we should check our spam mail. It might be in there.
I mean, Frank Ocean. I think that was the first thing that came to mind. I think that would be amazing.
I don't want to hear my voice next to Frank Ocean's voice.
Or production or arrangements or lyrics. I just don't. There's a big risk, isn't it, getting in a studio with someone like that. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to just see how he works and how he sort of arranges things and thinks about music. I'd like to just ask him loads of questions, to be honest.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, there is a bunch of. I think playing live mostly that's the main thing that I think is. That's the really fun thing that you do, and it takes you through this massive roller coaster of emotions. But there's a bunch of fun things that happen behind the scenes. I really like when we're on tour, I really like just hanging out with the guys, and driving between places is really fun, and sort of being backstage and the way you feel afterwards. There's a lot of peripheral stuff around being in a band that's just sort of hanging out with people that you like, that is really fulfilling for me.
For me, it's always been I really like the moment of recording vocals, because the way we produce our songs, the vocals are normally the last thing that we record, and I'll just dedicate a day to recording the vocals and trying to get the right take, and I normally do it topless, just in a dark room, and just work on it hours on end. But I really feel like I get to understand the track and understand my own voice and understand what the song is trying to say during those moments, and that's quite fulfilling.
Sometimes he gets in a cupboard to do it.
Amazing acoustics in my cupboard.
Yeah, makes a booth out of the cupboard. It's good, it works, it sounds great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. I kind of think artists can generally benefit from being independent unless the exact right deal comes along. I think there's a lot to think about before you sort of sign a label deal or get into bed with a publisher or anything like that. I quite like it that we haven't given anything up so far. It's kind of worked quite well for us. I think maybe this is something that I was thinking about earlier. During this time with COVID, I imagine the artists that are on labels and have a bit of financial backing are probably doing, like the big labels are probably doing a little bit better and feel a little bit more secure. But I think overall in normal times, the benefits of being independent generally outweigh having a label deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think for the right deal in the future, it might be something we would be looking at. But you can do so much yourself nowadays as well, and you really want to go for a deal where you're both benefiting each other and it's not a too imbalanced relationship. It is like going into any relationship. You don't want to be the one who's constantly chasing their affection. That's how I feel about it.
That's a good way of thinking about it, actually. Flirting.
It's flirting.
It's like flirting, isn't it? Yeah.
We're looking for a marriage, not a one-night stand. I mean, 2020's been a pretty crazy year. So, I think for a lot of musicians, it's been an odd year in terms of their musical career. But it's also, I think, given people a chance to hunker down and write songs or maybe even take some time away from songs. But for our career, I'm pretty proud of the songs we've written this year and the songs we have coming out. And that's a pretty big step for us. I feel really comfortable in the way we write, the way we produce, and I feel like we can go into 2021 with a lot more confidence, despite the weird year we've had.
Yeah, we kind of got into quite a good rhythm as well, and the process has become a little bit more collaborative, probably because we're just around each other a lot more, and it's much easier when people are at home to just kind of go upstairs and work on a track for an hour and then go back, go and do something else. So it's felt like the process has become maybe a bit more efficient and a bit more natural in terms of us doing stuff together instead of just individual parts getting work done. Is it I take a lot of different inspirations from in sort of life terms. Definitely, I very much look up to my sister in terms of the way that she handles stuff. In music terms, I'm not really sure. I guess there's a lot of people in the community, like musicians in the community in Oxford, who are very supportive of one another, and I like that there's a sense of sort of collaboration. So artists like Willie J. Healy and Lacuna Common and bands from round here kind of really push each other and support each other in a way that's kind of helps me to keep going if it gets a little bit difficult, I think.
I'm the same. I have inspirations from all around. Anyone who's really, no matter what field they're working in, who just has a real passion for what they're doing. I find that pretty inspirational. In Oxford, we have a few kind of musicians who've ended up doing really well, and that could be quite inspiring. So Radiohead, Foals, Glass Animals. For such a small town, I think we've got quite a good set of people to look up to.
Yeah, it kind of punches above its weight a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Something that I'm actually very grateful for, and it's been really apparent during this time when we've been sort of locked down and had to be at home, is I'm really glad that I live with the people that I live with, because it's been nice having a close group of friends who, even though you're isolating and it's kind of a crap situation, it still feels, I'm still happy to be at home, and I'm kind of fine with being here the whole time, just because it's nice to be in this house and we all get on really well, and it hasn't been that tense. It hasn't been tense at all, actually. It's been pretty good.
It's been okay.
Yeah. So that definitely is something I really feel grateful for at the moment.
I feel very grateful, particularly this year, for family, friends, loved ones, health, having a roof over our heads, and all the simple things that kind of made me realise it was something I probably should have been more grateful for before. This is a difficult question.
Yeah, I think it's kind of related to what I was saying just a minute ago. I think the thing that makes me truly happy is just sort of a sense of contentment and being able to not feel like you have to do something, and sort of having a bit of time to be quiet, and that doesn't necessarily mean being on your own. I think especially with the living situation here, we're all like really, really comfortable with each other, so that for me, like, I'm at my happiest when I can sort of just sit in a room with people that I like, and we don't have to interact, but we can interact if we want.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I find that question so difficult.
Well, it's like it's contextual, isn't it? Because there'll be some things where you, in certain contexts, you'll be really like people. I don't think many people like set out to be like, I just want to be happy all the time. You can't really think of stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Like, I don't really try and be happy for the sake of it, but I do a lot of, I like to make music or to read or to hang out with friends, and I guess those things make me happy. So maybe that's the answer. No, I'm happy.
No, I'm happy. That is a difficult question. I really think that it is very different depending on the person that you're with. I think that sometimes you can be in a relationship with somebody that's defined by it being really exciting, or you can be in a relationship with somebody that's defined by it being really sort of like calm and content. Both of those dynamics are a type of love, and they're both fine, but at different points in your life they'll mean different things to you. Like I throughout my life I've had very different experiences of what that word means, and I think you kind of that's like a way of approaching it, that you just have to sort of be like, this is the way it is, it'll either work or it won't, but as long as you sort of feel like it's the right thing to do, then I think maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like you feel like you're doing the right thing at the time, regardless of what the dynamics are.
That's a good answer. I don't really have a good definition of love. A lot of our songs are about love, but I think it's maybe something I'm still figuring out. But I just try to make people feel good and comfortable and seen and looked after, and that feel like they can be what they want to be. I don't know if I'm very good at this, but I've been trying to spend less time in front of screens, even if it's, you're with a friend and they go to the toilet or to the bar. Your kind of immediate instinct is to get your phone out, and I just try and focus on just sitting there with my thoughts for even just 2 or 3 minutes, and I feel better for it, even though it can be a struggle, I think, for everyone nowadays. But I think that can help that's one part of maybe trying to be more mentally healthy. Yeah, that's
so interesting that it's such a struggle to just not pick up. Like, if you don't know what to do, you always just go for a phone. I think I think sleep is really important and massively underrated. I think sleep and exercise are the two things, but mostly sleep. I think getting sleep is really, really important. I feel so much better if I have had enough rest.
Yeah, big fans of sleep and Be Good.
Yeah, big sleep band.
This year has really highlighted the importance of the Black Lives Matter movement. Really, opened a lot of people's eyes to what's happening for a lot of people around the world, and I definitely have learned a lot this year. I'm also quite interested in climate and social inequality generally.
Yeah, I think structural injustice generally is something that people need to talk about more and try and work on themselves to understand as much as they can, because I think there's a lot of subtlety around racism, misogyny, transphobia. All of those things manifest themselves in ways that you have to work quite hard to see, I think, and you probably do yourself unless you do the work to try and understand them. So those kinds of structural issues are something I care a lot about, and try and avoid making mistakes in myself if possible. Economic inequality as well. There's been a few things in the UK recently which have brought that to the fore. And on a global level, obviously, it's something that needs to be discussed a lot more, I think. Yeah.
Charlie, you lent me The Price of Inequality by Joseph Stiglitz. That's a worthwhile read, viewers.
Yeah, it's a great book. It'll make you mad, though. Yeah. It's one of those books that makes you really angry when you read it.
I think the obvious answer is probably, or maybe I thought it would be Brexit or Trump, and then or God knows what else, but the coronavirus has been really impactful around the world.
We've got so many terrible things to choose from.
I know.
So many bad things have happened.
It's got to be coronavirus.
Yeah. I think the US election, so at this point we still don't know obviously what's going to happen with the US election, but I think that'll be really significant. I'm hoping it's going to be the one big good thing that happens this year.
By the time you're watching this,
Kanye's going to be president. And I can't wait.
I think I actually really struggled to be away from my family during this pandemic in ways that I kind of hadn't in the past, even when I'd gone through longer periods without being able to see them. My twin sister has just given birth, and she lives in Taiwan, and if this lockdown wasn't happening, I'd probably be there right now. I want to see my new niece. So that's been a bit of a challenge, but I'll see you soon.
I think it's been difficult to support people in a way that I like to support people, especially the people that I know and like family that I know that either live alone or don't have any friends nearby. That it's really easy before you have a pandemic to just go and see them and make sure that they're okay. But there's some things you just can't, like signals that you can't give over Zoom or you can't give over a phone call. And it's not just obvious stuff like touching them and hugging them and things like that, but I think that's been really difficult. You have to kind of develop a different vocabulary for making people feel better or making them, looking after them, which I haven't really quite got yet.
Don't expect everyone to love your new mustache. Some people are going to give you strange looks. Some people are going to say that it looks terrible. You just gotta grit your teeth, keep it trim, and
they're wrong. You don't have to listen to them.
I know they're wrong.
They're just wrong.
I know they're wrong, Charlie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've learned the importance of, really valuing the people around you, thinking about how you spend your time, spending time outdoors, getting to know your community, helping people around you. I really hope I can keep those lessons in mind as I go on through life.
I think I learned that you don't always have to be productive. I'm quite bad for trying to do something productive all the time anyway, and when you're just in the same place all the time, you kind of there's no differentiation between the time when you are actually meant to be doing things and when you're not, so it'd be really easy to just slip into just constantly having to be on. So yeah, that's something that I think has been beneficial for me, is I've kind of had to force myself to not think like that.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah, I thought you had a really obvious answer.
I'm the best thing that happened to you.
Yeah.
No, I don't have it. I'm pretty stoked about my sister giving birth. So that's probably the best thing that's happened to me.
Yeah, that is cool. Now anything I say is going to seem really rubbish because I don't have like a baby. What's the best thing that's happened to me this year? I actually think getting really close with the house that I live in has been really, genuinely, it's actually been really, getting locked down wasn't actually as bad as it could have been. And I'm very glad. I'm very happy for it, yeah. I know. So nice. So it kind of was you.
Yeah.
You were right. I'm trying to find a moment of joy in 2020.
Yeah.
And all I can think about is that guy's car being on fire, which isn't funny.
We built when we had the first lockdown, we built a pub in our garden, and it's called the Princess's Arms. And we've had some great pub nights in there. Hopefully we can open it out to the general public once this lockdown is lifted. Yeah,
that process. This actually was probably one of the funniest things that happened. Is our housemate just became just a DIY guy who was just doing everything. He was like waterproofing the roof. He bought yacht paint?
Yeah.
He bought paint that you put on yachts to spray the sign. We made a sign. He hung it from a chain. It was like, and every time you come out, because he got furloughed, and every time you come out, and he'd just be doing some other insane thing. And it was so good. There was a period of about 3 or 4 weeks where everything he did just seemed really stupid and funny.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next year.